I got a couple of great guests with us today. Number one, I brought back Dhruv. He was with us on the very first show with Sales Sidelines, and he has a testimonial that he'd like to share with us today. He is with me. Without further ado, I'd like to bring on my first guest, who is Dhruv. Dhruv is with us right now. Can you hear me, Dhruv?
Yes, I absolutely can.
Dhruv, you were with us on the very first show in Sales Sidelines. The very first episode that I had was about mindset and why it's important to us as closers. And I appreciated that you had volunteered to go through this emotional freedom session. And it sounds like you had some really great breakthroughs. I asked you, if you could give me an update on what's happening. Whenever you have any kind of progress or anything that you see, let us know. So I just wanted to, kind of turn it over to you. And if you could just share with us what it was that you went through and what your experience has been so far. Can you do that for us, brother?
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So I think most of the people here know that what it's like to not have a lot of self, trust or belief in yourself, especially when it comes to something like closing and sales. Cause like most of the people who get into closing do it for the first time, like myself. So I had this negative self belief that I'm not good enough, right? Even though I was pretty good in sales and on the phone as well. So this negative belief was kind of holding me back. Although I had the least, I had everything I needed to close, but I couldn't just pick up the phone just because I thought that okay, like it's not worth it to pick up the phone because at the end of the day, I'm not good at sales. I'm not good on the phone. I'm going to lose a sale. Like something is going to happen, but I'm not going to get the sale. Like I don't deserve the sale. And after that session with Jaws, after the tapping session, like I don't know what exactly you call it, but after that session, I instantly felt a little bit kind of lighter, like from inside. And after that, I was really different on sales calls. So long story short, I had a lot more self-belief in myself. And, for the first time in my life, I really felt how it's like to get on a sales call when you have a lot of self-belief in yourself. And I did 30K in sales in just 1 week. So I closed a $4,000 package, and then I closed the biggest package in my company, that is a 25 grand package as a new onboarding in my first week of working. So kudos to that, man. Love Jaws.
Out, Outstanding, man. Yeah, I know that you were talking about it. If anybody hasn't seen that show, it's called Deleting Limiting Beliefs. You can either find it inside of my Facebook group or on the YouTube channel. But Drew was one of our guests there, and it was very unique what Drew was going through in that time with limiting beliefs and the struggles that he had even before that. And of course, it stems back to your limiting beliefs, which is why it's very powerful that once you get unlocked, once you delete that limiting belief, it's so much easier to move forward because you have that full conviction. Like in Drew's situation, he didn't think that he had what it took. At some point, he had this limiting belief that he wasn't good enough in sales. And once we went through this session, all of a sudden it was like maybe what, 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later that you received this new
Yeah.
opportunity. And in your first week, you were able to close over $30,000, man. Congratulations. I know that
Thank you.
everybody's going to love that. Now, I just have one more question for you. I know you got to get going, but the one
Yes.
question that I have for you is when you volunteered, like what was in your mind? Because like you and I inside of the group, we were chatting back and forth through the comments saying you were saying, yeah, I definitely volunteer. I do have problems with some limiting beliefs, like you had responded, right? So when you jumped onto the show, like what was your reaction or what was it that was going through your mind?
My reaction was like, first of all, obviously, it was a little bit of disbelief because, like, how it's because when you don't have belief in yourself, like that doesn't go away. Like, if you're like 35 years old, you have 35 years old of a guy who doesn't believe in himself, right? So you think that I have this, disbelief in myself for like a couple of years, but like just like from the time I got into sales, and how the fuck, but I'm like, excuse my language, but
Go
like how
ahead.
the hell tapping on certain phases of my face is like is gonna get rid of that belief, but it did, right? So obviously I was feeling a little bit this, kind of like, okay, like is it gonna work or not? But when you feel it and you're like, there's always like whenever you try new things, there will be always a hint of disbelief, and that is kind of good because that protects you from scam and fluff that doesn't work. But when something actually works, that it did in my case with Josh, then yeah, I mean, the numbers speak for itself.
Dhruv, I appreciate it. Is there anything that you would personally like to say to Josh while you're here on this call before you jump off?
Yeah, sure, man. Like the only thing I would say, Josh, is that Josh, love you, man. Right? Keep spreading this thing because I think most people don't know that this thing can all can also work in sales. And I've personally observed that there's a lot of aspects of psychology that people think that only for the people who have some mental disorder or stuff, but they can really work for people to get rid of these things like negative belief or negative thought patterns. So kudos to Josh for coming here and teaching her because this is very valuable. Like this thing can literally change your career, like the path of your career. So I love you, man, and I will love to maybe talk to you sometime again. But yeah, I mean, keep spreading the knowledge and best of luck.